The first season of The Walking Dead Dead City has come and gone, and oh boy, do I have some thoughts on this show. So spoilers are ahead if you have not watched this show, but I'm telling you right now, there's not much to spoil. So Dead City features Negan, Maggie, New York City, and zombies. Look, as much as I'll always enjoy seeing Negan and to a lesser extent Maggie, this show has no real reason to exist. And I know you can argue, well, you could say that about any show. I understand. But within the context of The Walking Dead and The Walking Dead universe, this show brings nothing. This show plainly doesn't need to exist. They are rehashing the same things we've seen multiple times, done better to be completely honest. And after the first episode, it just continually got worse and it's just boring. It does nothing. There's no stakes. There's nothing to care about. You know that none of the characters are in actual danger. It just exists. And of course, it's getting a season 2, even though I personally don't think it really deserves it. It's getting one because it had just enough viewers to make a decent profit. So they're going to roll out Negan and Maggie again for season 2, whenever that comes out, probably in 2025. So I wrote down a few things that I'm going to go through. I'm probably going to forget a few things, but these are kind of the main things that really bothered me. So first off, I kind of already briefly touched on it, but the stupid Negan and Maggie drama rehash, they've done this so many times at this point. I'm just exhausted with it. I just don't care anymore. I really don't. From a writing perspective, it is just so lazy. You can do so much more with these two characters, but just to continually rehash something that happened, 15 years ago within their universe? I get Negan killing Glenn was a traumatic experience for Maggie. I understand that. And I get that Negan does have remorse for it in some way or another, but let's move on already. Maggie made her peace with Negan in the finale of The Walking Dead. Why are we continually talking about it still to this day? If Maggie really hates Negan that bad, she should kill him. Or she should have killed him back in season 9 when she had the chance very easily. But she didn't. So the second you decide not to do that, move on. But that doesn't surprise me really, because let's be honest, the writing for all the shows have just not been good over the last few years. And as fun as Negan can be, he's not the real main reason that I'm really frustrated with this show. It's mainly Maggie, because again, I truly feel like her character has not grown at all since Glenn has died. And I just kind of get fed up with her character. There's moments where I'm like, oh yeah, that's the Maggie I know and really like from the earlier seasons of the show, but that's only like 10% of the time. And the other 90% is just her being worried about Negan. I'm just tired of it. And piggybacking off of Maggie, we have Herschel, her son, and wow, what a waste of a character. Wow, picture this, folks. Another kid in The Walking Dead gets kidnapped. How many times has this been done? My goodness. Not even, I guess, just kids in the show, but just overall within the Walking Dead universe. How many times can you go to the kidnapping well? Once or twice throughout a show? Cool. But my goodness, it's been done so many times, especially the last few seasons of the mainline show and here in Dead City. There's no creativity. It's just boring. We've seen it a ton of times before. And what do you know too? Our favorite character in the whole Walking Dead, Rick Grimes, is also kidnapped, held against his will, however you want to say it. So from all those perspectives, I'm just tired of kidnapping storylines. Think of something better than this. This is just so lame. And for the show taking place in New York City, 15 years into the apocalypse, they did not utilize their setting at all. And am I shocked by this? No, not one little bit. The Walking Dead's cheap and they don't like to spend money, so why would I be surprised? Yeah, there's some decent shots of the city with some, apocalyptic foliage and whatnot, but really though, there's only a few shots where you have Maggie and Negan and other characters like on the ground in New York with a apocalyptic environment around them. There's not really a lot of that. The most of the show is in warehouses, in buildings, places that are cheap to film. Do you get where I'm going with this? There's no doubting they're out of the woods. Cool. But they've just kind of did their normal strategy just with buildings. Instead of having trees in the background or them being with trees, they're just in abandoned buildings. That's pretty much it. So at the end of the show, the mainline show, we introduce variant zombies, this new big bad foe. Where are they in this show? There wasn't one variant zombie in all of the Dead City. I don't get it. If you're gonna do it, do it. And before anyone says, well, Manhattan is cut off from the rest of the world, during the apocalypse. Okay, whatever. I don't care. There should be some variant zombies over in Dead City land. Because they don't explain how variants become variants. Might as well have a few variants in New York. I don't like the variants at all. I'm not mad that they didn't do it. But if you're gonna do it, do it. It just makes no sense. And I gotta say, the action in this show is just pretty meh. I really didn't care all that much for it, to be completely honest. It felt very in line with season 10 and season 11 of The Walking Dead, which is very meh. Is it the worst thing to watch in the world? No. But does it have any spirit or heart or any grittiness? No. It just feels like a safe drama show, and that's about it. I gotta say, the funniest and dumbest thing I think about the entire show is when Maggie and Negan are fighting each other in the finale of season 1 of Dead City. They're scrapping it out, they're getting into it. Maggie takes a giant K-bar knife, like, I don't know, was it 8 inches long? It's freaking huge. Throws it right in Negan's shoulder, right? And he just is like, screams once, pulls it out like it's nothing. After that, he's not favoring his shoulder, nothing. Just pulls it out like it's a thumbtack. I mean, come on. I get The Walking Dead is The Walking Dead at this point, but can we at least have a little bit of realism still? At least back in the day in season 3 when Morgan put a pocket knife into Rick's shoulder, it bled. He had to wrap it. He favored his shoulder for the rest of the episode. It hurt him. Like, there's just certain things you can do, like, to show, like, yeah, he's injured. It hurt. I mean, he took a giant knife right into the shoulder and nothing happened. I think I've seen somewhere online, I forget if it was someone on YouTube or Twitter, but they pretty much just said that, like, Walking Dead characters now are like superheroes. Like, Negan is like Iron Man, Daryl's like Captain America, and there's no real stakes for any of these people because they're just superheroes. Like, you never really worry about your superheroes dying. Same thing about the Walking Dead characters now. Like, never once watching Dead City was I like, man, are they gonna kill Maggie right now? Or, man, Negan's gonna die. That did not even cross my mind once. I did think, though, when Maggie and Negan got into that fight again on like the barge or little boat or whatever, once they did the superhero jump, wouldn't have been something if the show just did a complete 180 and Negan just went slice and just tossed her overboard. Would have that been something to catch your attention? Man, that would have been something. But of course, you can't do that because the show just does nothing anymore. That's risky. So here we are. And I know at this point Maggie's a legacy character and I don't hate her by any means, but still that thought did cross my mind. And I think overall, the thing that bothers me the most within the context of the universe of The Walking Dead, why isn't Maggie at the Commonwealth? She's at this unknown place that we have no attachment to, we don't care about, it's in God knows where, and she continues on, we're at this place, I'm worried about Herschel, etc., etc. Why the hell aren't you at the Commonwealth where there's supposedly 50,000 people with resources, electricity, food, medical care, school, and the list goes on? If you truly cared about your kid, why not live at the Commonwealth? This just makes no sense. I at least can understand why they say Negan doesn't live with any of the, good guys of The Walking Dead. I get that. That makes sense. I can understand that, even though I still think it's dumb that, like, hey, the Commonwealth is, again, supposedly 50,000 people strong. Why can't Negan just live on the other side of town and never interact with, all the quote-unquote good guys of The Walking Dead? They could just live peacefully, and that's that. But still, I get it. From Negan's perspective, it makes a little bit more sense. But Maggie, what are you doing? Go to the Commonwealth where there's resources, protection, again, and the list goes on. Why are you at this rung-dunk place that has no real resources, especially compared to the Commonwealth? That part just kills me. It makes no sense at all. I would at least understand if she went back to Hilltop because that's where Glenn's buried. That's her perceived home. Okay, cool. They rebuilt it throughout the years. I totally understand going back to the Hilltop. But this new place, I think they called it the Bricks, which is just a stupid name. Let's be honest. You got to close off your critical thinking mind watching this show, that's for sure. And oddly enough, I wouldn't say highlight, but one thing that I didn't hate, and it's a little goofy, but I found it kind of endearing because this show is kind of goofy to begin with. I didn't mind the Croat guy. I thought he was, lighthearted, kind of funny. And I loved how he's kind of obsessed with Negan. Like, that's a interesting and different rapport there. Beyond that, was he a real menacing person or a real interesting villain, even if he is, more of the goofy type of villain? I would say no. But ultimately, you can find a few moments throughout the show that are pretty good. It almost feels kind of like the real Walking Dead. But then other parts, it's just so lifeless and boring and ultimately just doesn't need to exist. And yeah, at the very end of the finale of season 1, they kind of set up where Negan might get his throne back, for lack of a better term. But just when it starts getting interesting, the last 30 seconds, what do you know? It ends in kind of a cliffhanger. Thanks, folks. See you in season 2. This show's just not for me. I didn't really plan on ripping it this hard, but this is just how I feel about it, to be completely honest. I think it's a 5 out of 10, and mainly the 5's just for Negan because I do enjoy Negan. Oh, and also too, the Jenny character, the kid that Negan kind of watches over. What's the point of having that character? I mean, truly, I'm not trying to be mean here, but what's really the point? There's enough kids in The Walking Dead. We don't need another one. If you want to have a Negan kid storyline, pair him up with Herschel, or pair him up with his own kid. There you go. Way more compelling, way more interesting than some kid we don't know anything about. Or, and I know she wouldn't be a kid anymore, but pair him up with Lydia. I like to see Lydia at this point. Why not? At least there's already a rapport there from a show perspective and an audience perspective. It would just make a lot more sense, but I digress. The show is what it is. Again, like I said, probably a 5 out of 10. If you're a hardcore Walking Dead fan, I'm sure you find a few things to like about it. Like myself, there's a few spots that I really like, but other than that, there's not a lot here. Is it better than Fear the Walking Dead or Tales or World Beyond? Yeah, I would say so, but those shows are also awful. I wouldn't say Dead City is awful, it's just mediocre and doesn't need to exist. So with all that said, let me know your thoughts on Dead City. I am genuinely curious what people think about this show. So let me know down in the comment section below, and while you're down there, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, that'd be greatly appreciated. Until next time, guys, everyone have a great day. Thanks for watching.